Hi, everyone. I'm Monica, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. Hello. Thank you all so much for being here today. And thank you, Terry Bear, for asking me to be of service. Are you going to put my timer up or should I? Okay, there you go. Thank you. I got a little few seconds head start. Okay. Thank you, Terry Bear, for asking me to be of service today. Thank you for asking me. It's always a pleasure to speak at any meeting and be of service. And there are a few things that I do like to start with. First is that I do always pray before I speak at any meeting, and I ask God to speak through me and to speak from my heart where He is, to allow me to be honest, to allow me to be open, to allow me to be vulnerable, cry if I have to cry, which usually does end up happening. I do cry a lot. And, I just ask God to allow me to help any person in whichever room that I'm in. And so if I do say anything that offends anyone, I do like to say, tell your higher power to talk to my higher power, and they can hash it out because I have absolutely nothing to do with this. And so that's first. Second thing is I do have a sponsor, and I sponsor other alcoholics in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it doesn't matter what they identify as long as they're alcoholic and they want to recover and they ask me for help, then it's this hand, we reach out this hand, and I'm here to take that hand and just show them exactly, how I did it. And my sponsees sponsor other alcoholics as well. And it's just so beautiful to be in this little pyramid scheme of hope and love in Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's really fun, that I get to be a part of these things today. And I am of service. Whenever I get asked to speak at any meeting, I can be there. I will be there as long as it doesn't interfere with other commitments that I've already committed to. And I'm the secretary and the chairperson for my home group. So I get to attend those business meetings and type down little minutes and, attend and just be a part of the group. There's still a lot of things that I'm learning. And I feel like every time I fully learn a position, they're like, okay, next, here's your new position. And so that's always fun to be a part of. And these are just things that I like to mention that have been a huge part of my recovery, but they haven't been everything. They've just been huge parts of it. And I do have a sobriety date. It's April 13 of 2018. And I celebrated 6 years this past April. And they've been the most amazing 6 years of my life. All of them, even through all the ups and downs and the tears and the heartbreaks and the pain, everything. It's all been amazing. And I have so much time to speak today, so I'm going to go through a lot of things. I don't usually, I try to go, stick to all the recovery. I don't really talk about, how it was like. I do always like to mention the feelings of how it was like, that the whole waking up every single morning and, feeling miserable and wanting to die and waking up and feeling alone and not feeling loved and feeling useless and purposeless. It was just like every morning I would wake up and I would ask myself, like, why are you still here, Monica? Like, what purpose? Like, what is your reason to even be alive right now? Like, I couldn't find any reason, and this is my second time in the program. The first time I came in and I just felt a little ashamed, a little embarrassed of something that I had done. And, I decided to Google help, and I thought I was going to go into this like little spa retreat of, for help and, yoga at 10 and breakfast at noon, brunch at noon. And that's what I was looking for. And instead I came into Alcoholics Anonymous and, they gave me all these suggestions and they told me to get a sponsor and to get a big book, to get numbers, to start praying, to start meditating, to keep coming back to the meetings, to work the steps. And I didn't take any suggestion. And at 30 something days sober, I decided that, hey, maybe I can control my drinking. Maybe I can, take this one drink and maybe I can only have one tonight. And then once I had that one, maybe I can have two, maybe I can have three, maybe 5. And, spoiler alert, it didn't happen and it just kept going. And, one thing always led to another, which led to another, which led to another. And I was off once again, unable to control, unable to, switch my alcohols, unable to do any of these things. It never worked. And so I was in this alcoholic cycle of doing the same thing over and over and over again, feeling restless, irritable, discontented. And it was horrible until one day, 2 years later, I decided to try to end my life. And so I took a bunch of substances that I found around my house, a lot of different, pills and, drugs, whatever it was. And I decided to lay in the bathtub, ready to die, and, say like, that's it, and I didn't know, it was this moment of just pure, I don't really think back to like pinpoint that moment, but it was just like this pure, emptiness inside of just a huge hole in my heart, in my soul, of like zero love and zero, anything. It was just emptiness. And I went into a psych. I woke up in a psych ward, and I remember, when they assigned me my first bed, I remember hitting my knees, and I was just like, God, please help me. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know how I got here, but I just need your help. And I had no idea who I was praying to. I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea why I was even on the floor on my knees asking for help. And then, in hindsight, down the line, I realized that was my moment of surrender. That was my moment of admitting complete defeat. That was my moment of hopelessness. And I wanted help. I was surrendering. And, for the next couple of days that I was in there, I remember, I don't get to talk about this often, but I remember sitting at this table with my parents and my brother. Right. And it was this little round table, and I get emotional just talking about it because I'll never forget, it was this little round table, my mom, my dad, and my brother, and I will never forget the looks on their faces, right? These like pure sadness and disappointment, or that's just how I interpret it as, right? Who knows what they were actually feeling, but it was just like sadness, like heartbroken. It was at that moment I realized like how much hurt I have caused in their lives, and how much they love me and how much they care about me. This person that just tried killing herself because she didn't feel that love, and I saw it right there, and it hurt, and I'll still remember it to this day, like the exact look. And they asked me, what are you going to do now? Like, what are you going to change? And I said, I think I'm going to try to stop drinking, I guess, like, I think that's what I need to do. And so as soon as I left, I went back to that room that I went into the first time that I was looking for, help. And I remember sitting down on the sofa and saying that my name was Monica and I'm an alcoholic. And I just remember everyone in the room, like there was this applause, like, yeah, welcome. We're glad you're here. And I was like, no, why is everyone so happy? Why? I didn't understand. It was just this why. Why is everyone clapping? Why is everyone so cheerful? Why is everyone, excited for me to say that I'm an alcoholic? Like, to me, this was the end. This was rock bottom, the end of my life. My whole life is going to be boring now. Everything's going to change. I'm not going to have, anything. Never going to be happy again. Boy, was I wrong. Right? And it's so crazy because, today I get to be that person. I get goosebumps thinking about, like, I get to be that person that hears someone say, my name is, so-and-so, and I'm an alcoholic. I'm here because I'm lost. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I need help. And I get to be like, yes, welcome. We're glad you're here. How amazing is that? Hey, who would have thought, if they would have told me that 6 years ago, this is what your life would be like, I would have said, there's no way. You're lying. You're definitely drinking. You're definitely on something. You're definitely using whatever it is, but there's no way that I'll ever be happy again. And so I love I love being a service day. I love being able to come on a meeting and give a message, of how this life is possible. Oh, we're gonna start crying again. How this life is possible, because even still to this day, 6 years and a few months later, I still can't believe it. Right? I still can't believe that I get to live the life that I have today, where I get to live a life that I get to go through absolutely anything and still have joy and still have love. I can't believe it. I still wake up some days and I'm like, how is this my life? And I'll get to more of that, but I'm still in the beginning of my sobriety. I remember the first day I went in there and I got a sponsor, right? This girl was like, hey, do you have a sponsor? And I was like, no, I don't even know what a sponsor is. And she's like, well, it's someone that's going to help you. You can call them. They're going to take you through the steps. I was like, I don't know what steps are. They're like, don't worry about it. Just call her and she'll help you. And so she introduced me to another woman named Monica, and she became my first sponsor. And, she was very like hardball, like, you're going to meet me at this time. You're going to, respect my time. You're going to do this and you're going to do that. And you're going to take out the garbage and you're going to do this. And I was like, okay, lady, fine. I'll do whatever you ask me to. And so I went through the steps with her. It was great. I went through the steps and I kept going to meetings. I started making a lot of friends at these meetings. We would go out to eat after the meetings, go dancing. We were all high off sugar-free Red Bulls. We were having a blast. It was fun. Everyone was like around the same age. I got sober at 25. I'm 30 something now. 32. 32. Yeah, I'm 32 now, and it was fun. Everyone was around the same age and, oh yeah, we're having a blast, started sponsoring people, I just like would go through the book, read the book with them. It was all cool. And I said, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could live this life. I guess I can just keep coming back to these meetings. I can read how it works here and there. I can take out the garbage. I can serve coffee. It was cool. But every time something happened, this, I always like to mention, I think Tara Bear always laughs when I say like the AirPods story. I was working and I lost my AirPods and everything was going down. My whole world around me was crashing. It was like this horrible thing that just happened in my life. I was ready to drink because I lost my AirPods. How crazy that every little minor inconvenience, I still would like be clutching, like I was like holding on for dear life, to not have a drink. I remember getting my heart broken around 7 months sober and I wanted to die. I was already thinking about how am I going to do it this time? How am I going to figure out, it has to be different from the last time. I can't repeat the same thing. It has to be, this dramatic event. And even 2 years, at 2 years, okay, well, pandemic happened, things started shutting down and, I was like, oh no, this is it for me. I'm going to drink. How am I going to keep on without meetings? How am I going to live without going to these meetings and seeing the same people over and over and going to the diner after the meeting? Because that's what I thought, was AA. And then we brought on this virtual platform, and then they said, well, if you really want your 10:30 p.m. meeting, host it on Zoom. And I said, fine. I don't know what I'm doing, but fine, I'll do it. Little did I know that 4 years down the line, I would still be doing it. And I'm still doing it to this day. And that service position has changed my whole entire life. Everything just changed for me. And I remember being in Alaska at 2 years sober. I was celebrating my 2-year anniversary there. And I remember like having this feeling of like, I still feel empty inside. It was like April. Yeah, it was April of 2020. I felt empty inside. I was like ready to go buy this little mini keg that they were selling at these breweries. Like I saw people outside carrying them. It was cold. And I was like, that's perfect. That's what I need right now. And I said, no, Monica, just grab your burger, go back to your Airbnb, get on that meeting that you signed up to host every single night. And so I did just that. And then a few months later, I'm starting to meet these people from all over the world, right? People that were quoting the big book, people that had page numbers memorized, that had all these things. And I was like, where are these people coming from? Like, how are they doing that? And then I met this little old man came into the meeting that I was hosting, looking for Russell Spatz. And I was like, sorry, sir, there's no Russell Spatz here. That was last week. And he was like, well, okay, I guess I'll stick around. He started sharing about the difference between sobriety and recovery. And that's when it hit me that I'd just been sober this whole entire time, but I hadn't been recovering. I wasn't living in that recovery. He started mentioning this catapult, this rocket, this fourth dimension of existence. And I was like, I read this big book. I read this big book before. What rocket ship is he talking about? I was like, what's the fourth dimension? I started Googling fourth dimension. I had no idea what he was talking about. And it was all in here. All in here. The book that I've read to other people before, but I had no idea. And then he kept talking. He likes to talk a lot. He kept talking about his wife. And he shared this story about when his wife was diagnosed with cancer. They would wake up every single day, not knowing when she was going to die, but they would wake up every single morning with joy, with smiles, with love, with God. Right? And then she passed away and he still kept the same smile. That's what I want. That's the life that I want to live. I want to be able to get through anything that comes into my life with that joy, with that amount of love, with that smile, right? Ready to help other people. And so I asked him to be my sponsor. At first he said no. He said nope. And then he changed his mind and said, all right, let's go. Let's do this thing. Right? And we've been on this road, trudging this road together ever since. 4 years. Right? This old man from New York that I've never met in my life. That I had no idea we could ever have anything in common. And he's been my best friend ever since. Right? Changed my life completely. And I realized that what was missing from my recovery was a relationship with a God of my understanding. Okay? Because I had an idea of God. Right? I was one of those people that when the first time I came into these rooms, I would hear people talk about God and their relationship with a God and this, that, prayers, but like all these things. And I said, no way. I don't want any of that. I know what God is. God is, I'm going to hell if I don't wash the dishes. I'm going to hell if I don't make my bed. I'm going to hell if I come home past a certain time. I will be punished. I'm never going to be forgiven for any of my sins. And I've done so many, that's what I thought God was. And so I had these walls up, this prejudice. Like I didn't want anything to do with it. And coming back into these rooms, I was ready. Remember, I hit my knees, not knowing who I was praying to. And so little by little, I have this thing that I call a Build a God workshop, where I started putting words together of who I thought God could be, right? Loving, forgiving, caring, powerful, understanding. As I said, these are things I could get behind for what God is. And I laugh today, because it's like these 5 words of what God is. Like, imagine me now, this is the way that I see it now. Imagine just putting 5 words to God. It was like this little box. And then little by little, this little box became bigger. I opened the box, butterflies came out of the box. And then butterflies started being God. You know, the butterflies landed on a flower. Flowers and butterflies started being God. You know, flowers grew in this beautiful field with trees all around. And the trees and nature was all God. You know, then the trees, you know, some went up so high into the sky where the sky and everything around me started being God. You know, God just became bigger and bigger and bigger because I started praying to this God. You know, very, very small prayers at first. Hi, God, just keep me sober today. Thank you, God, for keeping me sober. Hey, God, keep me and my friends sober today. Thank you for my family, God. You know, little by little, it became bigger. And then it started like extending, you know, to more things, you know, like, I don't even remember. It was just like bigger, longer. I took more time with this God. You know, and it's so beautiful, this whole journey of a God of my understanding, how it started off so small, right? To where today God is everything and everywhere and everyone. Everyone, people. You know, who would have thought that I could see God in people today? That means that I could see love in other people. Right? That I can have patience, love, and I can show kindness to other people. God's kids. Isn't that crazy that, you know, I start off with this whole building a God workshop thing to like years later realizing that God was building me the whole time. Me. You know, the audacity to think that I could build God, but it helped me. It helped me. And so this whole relationship with the God of my understanding, you know, I was able to rework my steps with my new sponsor. And that year of 2020 was crazy. I mean, I know a lot of people can say like, oh, it was the worst year, you know, it's this, it was that. You know, I went through so much that year, just like a lot of people. You know, but all these little things that were happening to me. I'll say, you know, my grandma passed away. I got into a car accident. You know, I had this manager from hell. I got COVID like 3 times, I think. You know, it was I got pregnant. I had an abortion. You know, it was a bunch of things that happened. And I said, how am I getting through all of these things? Because all of these experiences that I was having, I was able to turn to God for each and every single one of them. I was able to ask God to get me through them, to show me, to guide me, you know, to allow me to be of service. You know, and still to this day, like it amazes me at how much, you know, how beautiful it is to be able to go through things. You know, how beautiful it is. You know, the last time, last year, I was living in Norway. You know, it was this place where I wanted to live, where I wanted to, you know, live for the rest of my life, maybe even have a family there. You know, I was settling down. And then one day I get asked that I have to leave the country. And so I have to pack up all my things. And then the next day I get laid off from my remote job. And so I'm no job, no, you know, have to leave this country. And I remember like talking to my sponsor and I said like, wow, I can't wait to see how I can use this to help another person. I can't wait to see what I'm going to learn from this, how I'm going to grow. You know, I just can't wait. You know, and still to this day, you know, coming back to Miami, like I realized that my parents were here. Like I have parents that were ready and were willing to help me. You know, parents who remember their faces. Parents who I hurt so much. You know, and they were ready. They were like, come home. We'll take care of you. You have your room here. And so I got to come back home to my parents. And I got to use this time to rebuild our relationship even more. You know, this, oh gosh. It's just so much, you know, it's incredible. And I wish sometimes I could say like, you know, This is all lies, but it's real life, and I can't make any of this up. I can't. I had this beautiful step 5 experience when I was reworking my 4-step. I was able to rip off this mask and talk to another human being that I trust for the first time in my life. Because I had done one already, but it wasn't like this. This time I brought God in. We brought God in. Because it wasn't just me. It was me and this other person and God. And I'll never forget sitting right here on this bed and just feeling God's presence all around me. It was like my creator was like wrapped around me and this other person, this other human being that I was able to trust and be honest with things that I never thought I'd tell someone. And then I like to call it my God blanket. Because it was like this warm, cozy feeling wrapped around me. Love being wrapped around me. And so this God blanket, it was me and this other person and God. And as I went on through my steps, I realized that my God blanket just became bigger and bigger and bigger. Every single person that I have met becomes a part of my God blanket. Every single person that I keep meeting becomes a part of my God blanket. Just interwoven, like this, we're like this. We're all together, merged into my life. That's crazy, right? I know it sounds crazy. It's crazy, but it's this God blanket that allowed me to have this love for every single person, for all of God's kids. Every single one of them. Interwoven souls, it's beautiful. And who would have thought, right, that this girl that came in here to stop drinking today is talking about a God blanket. It's crazy. And so, I'm going through my steps and, step 6 and 7 to me was like one of those, they're together, we can skip them, let's go on to 8. But 6 and 7 have changed my entire life. Right? You hear it all the time. Progress, not perfection. And I'm here to say, I'm not a fan of that. Because we get into step 6 in the 12 and 12, and it says that we get to strive for perfection in God's eyes. That's great. We get to strive for perfection in God's eyes. And I'm not here to say, I'll never get there. I can't say I'll never get there if I'm not trying to strive for that perfection in God's eyes. Everything that I do today, I get to say, is this going to get me closer to God or further away from God? Is this going to draw me closer or push me from God? It's amazing, right? That I can look at every single thing today and say that. And that to me allows me to strive for that perfection in God's eyes. I get to grow towards, that ideal. My God's ideal, right? God's objective rather than my own. Right? Everything that I do today, and then it goes into step 7, right? Everything that I do today gets to be for God. Everything that I do today is all for God. I get to work for God. What do I have to do for you today, God? Show me. Right? I wake up today and I say, good morning, God, surprise me. I took that from my sponsor. Good morning, God, surprise me. Show me, inspire me, guide me. Like, who are we going to meet today, God? Right? Who do I get to love today, God? Who do I get to show patience, love, and tolerance to today, God? And it happens. It happens. Not too long ago, I was in Target and I had this whole situation, where I was kind of being snippy and I was like, well, are you going to help me or not? This was last week, and I think, are you going to help us or what? And the lady was like, yeah, just give me a moment. And I was like, oops, yeah, that was my moment. Instantly. Instantly. It happens like this. I get to feel everything today. Every single thing. If I feel that I've done something wrong, I get to feel it and I get to look at it instantly. I get to turn to God instantly. I don't have to wait till the end of the day to do this silly little inventory and see where I went wrong. Where today I am like this with God, where I am inspired. My intuition is inspired with God at all times, every single moment of the day. And so I don't have to wait another week, another month, another year to make an amends. I can stand there and look at someone in the eye and say, I'm sorry. That wasn't my intention. I'm sorry. You're a wonderful person. You're doing a great job. Like all these things. And then I get to be me. I get to be this person on this earth just with God, with other people. I had this beautiful, beautiful experience with step 8 and step 9, where in step 8, I thought, it was a silly little list. Just write down every single person, move on, make the amends, and that's it. But there's this first paragraph, the last line in the first paragraph in the 12 and 12 on step 8, it says, I get to have the best possible relationship with every human being I know. That changed my life. That changed the way that I was able to look at all these things at this step. Best possible relationship. And I guess that has stuck here since then. Where today, every single person, I get to say, is this the best possible relationship with this human that I can have right now? Sometimes it's yes. And then sometimes I'm like, no, it could be a lot better. And then I get to fix all these relationships. I had these beautiful amends. My parents have been the biggest amends in my life. In my recovery, I should say my life. In my recovery. I had made an amends before. It was very, like, sorry for doing this. And, I hope you guys can forgive me. And if I can do anything, change, whatever. But this time it's been completely different. Not that the first time was horrible, it's just, there wasn't any God in it the first time. And this time it's been this whole change in the way that I get to see my parents. And not only making amends, but continue. I know a lot of people don't like the idea of living amends, but it's this whole changing of my behavior, where I get to continue being the daughter that I never was. Continue showing up for my parents. And then I get to be at this wedding with my family. And then we're at this very long table with all our family surrounded. My dad is there. You know what my dad says? My dad turns around and tells everyone, today I have the daughter that I never thought I would have. I wasn't expecting that. But it was like everything that I had done was making a difference. And I could have gone on without having to hear that. I would have kept doing whatever the heck I had to do. But just knowing that my dad felt like he had the daughter he never thought he had was beautiful. It was like, like I get to be that. I just get to be a sensitive daughter. I don't have to walk around pretending that I know everything. I don't have to walk around, with this shield around me anymore. I went on this trip with my mom for my 6-year anniversary. Where we got to go to Italy and to Switzerland. My mom, at first, she was such a pain in the ass. She was such a pain in the ass. Still to this day, she is still, many times, not even leaving the airport. I remember texting my sponsor, like, I don't know about this. I don't know. This is going to be hard. We were already bickering. And then over in this trip, I got to see this whole other side of my mom. I kept praying, and I said, God, help me, show me. And he showed me. God showed me that my mom was having her own experience, that my mom was just living just like me. That my mom felt comfortable enough to experience just like me around me. Mess up, she reversed into a garbage can, she scraped the side of the car, the rental car. No one knows but me and you guys know. And she said, please don't tell your dad about this. And I said, okay, mom. So this secret has to stay here. And it was just like, my mom was just experiencing, mountains and snow and everything. It was all new to her. I got to see her. I got to watch her enjoy these things, enjoy new foods, enjoy different languages, everything, driving a rental car. Like, she had no idea how to drive. Like, I got to witness all these things and be there for all of that. Never, never in a million years would you have told me that that's something that you could do, Monica. And I got to be there. It's incredible, Tomorrow we're celebrating my dad's birthday. So my brother, my sister-in-law are in town. We just got back from having lunch. And I told them, like, I have to speak on a meeting in about an hour or so. They're like, don't worry, we'll be back for that. My family knows, it's been a very, like, it's been a roller coaster, but sometimes, they don't understand. Sometimes they do. And I don't have to make them understand. I don't have to say, like, you guys must be behind this with me throughout the whole thing. I just get to be, and I just get to continue demonstrating and showing what God has done for me in my life. And I don't have to shove anything down their throat. I just get to be. And that's a beautiful thing about this, that today, like, I literally just get to be a human being. Like, I like to say a meat vessel. Right? Just a body carrying a message for God. Meeting other meat vessels. That sounds a little weird. I've never said that before. But it's wonderful. Like, I don't have to have anything. I used to think that I had to have all of these things and the perfect job. Like, I had this dream job and I got that dream job, and it was nothing what I thought this dream job would be like. That's the dream job I got laid off from. All right. And I haven't even had a job since last year, October. Except recently, I started picking up shifts at my gym, the front desk at my gym. I've been doing Uber Eats rides, like delivering food to people, which my mom tags along sometimes. And some, like, there's little things that I get to do today. And I know that sometimes my mom looks at me and she's like, oh, you're not ambitious, or you're not, like, what are you going to do? Like, is that really what you're going to do? And I said, right now, yeah. I don't have to worry about these things. I don't have a car. I don't have a steady job. I don't have a lot of money. Just what I've made in, like, the past 2 weeks and a half or so. I don't have a boyfriend. I'm living with my parents. Like, all these little things that I thought I had to have in order to be happy. All material things. And today, like, this past year has probably been one of the best years of my life. When I've had the least amount of things. Because I feel so, so incredibly spiritually rich. I'm rich. I have all this love today. Love that I never thought I would have. Remember, I was empty. I didn't have anything inside of me. And today I have so much. I mean, how many times have I cried already? 20 times or so. I have everything. I have things that I never thought were possible. I didn't want to talk about this, but I'm gonna. My dog just passed away a month ago. I'm still very hurt, I'm still very sad. I'm heartbroken. There's days that I can't sleep because I'm thinking of her. And it hurts so much. But like literally 2 days after she passed away, I spoke on a meeting. I didn't stop doing service. There's so many people that were there for me. And I got to stop and think there's so many puppies that are being born today. My dog passed away, but so many puppies are being born today. There's still so much love. And she's still with me. And these are things that, I realized. I had realized that week when I was speaking on a meeting that every time I talk about my sponsor and I say that that's the life I want to have, that I finally have that life. Right? Where he would wake up with smiles knowing his wife was dying, that I get to do that today. That I'm there. That I can literally get through anything. And just say, I'm going to use this to help someone later on. I'm going to be able to be of service with this experience. Each time some things happen, I get to sit back and say like, this is still good. This is the life. And you hear it all the time too, that life isn't all rainbows and butterflies and sunshine. And I get to say that, yes, it is. That just because things aren't going my way or the way that I expect them to or the way that I would like them to, it doesn't mean that life isn't perfect. Because I am living in God's world today with my creator. And so who am I to say that life isn't perfect the way that it is? Because even through pain, even through death, even through heartbreaks, through sadness, through tears, I get to feel all these things. I get to live. I get to experience everything. I get to love. I get to smile. I get to laugh. I get to help others. I get to help others. I get to see my sponsees have sponsees today. I get to see them work this program. I get to see God come in their life. I get to see their hearts open. I get to see them cry. I get to see them have a family. I have a sponsee, actually. I have a sponsee, or she was my sponsee. She isn't anymore, but she still will always be in my heart as one of my sponsees. She came in to these rooms because I was speaking at a meeting. She asked me to be a sponsor because I was speaking at this meeting that, I hadn't been to in such a long time. And then, she starts coming to the meeting, our 10:30 p.m. meeting. She starts sticking around. We start seeing her life come together, right? She gets married. I get to go to her wedding. I get to be her maid of honor. My sponsor gets to come to the wedding. The other friends from this meeting get to come to the wedding. People from all over the United States, that haven't even met in person, we get to meet at this wedding. We come back home. It's fun. We get to laugh at all the memories. She just had a baby. She just had a baby with her husband, and I get to see all these things happen in people's lives, to be a part of other people's lives today. I get to see my sponsee with his daughter, come on Zoom and laugh. I get to see my other sponsee with her daughters. I get to see one of my sponsees, just give a medallion to his sponsee. It's crazy that I get to be a part of these things just because this one human that demonstrated what this program was about, demonstrated it, showed it, was showing it, living it, showed me. I get to demonstrate it. I get to show it. And then someone else says, I want that. They get to demonstrate it. They get to show it. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. We get to be a part of that today. It's incredible. Like I used to have to wait for like, I had to like try to pinpoint when the best moment of my life was. And I had to say like, oh, it was definitely, coming into AA, or, the day maybe where I attempted suicide, because if it weren't for that, I would have never come into AA. AA changed my life. AA is the best, or maybe it was the year where I met my sponsor. My sponsor came into AA. Hey, he changed my life. All of this, it's been an amazing ride. Or maybe it was the year where, I started developing a relationship with the God of my understanding. That changed my life. That is amazing. Maybe it's the year that I'm in. Maybe it's the month that I'm in. Maybe it's, the week that I'm in. And then it just came down smaller and smaller to this moment, right? Where I realized that the moment that I'm in is the best moment of my life. No other moment matters but the one that I'm in right now. Right here, right now. This is the fourth dimension of existence. This is where I get to be rocketed, catapulted into this life beyond my wildest dreams. I get to live right here, right now, in this heaven on earth, in this utopia. Right? And I don't have to look any further, but right here, right now. Right? Because everyone is here. God is here. And I don't have to live in fear. I don't have to live in worry. And yes, it comes across, it happens here and there, but I don't have to let it consume me because I have God. Right? And I'll read this because I have 3 minutes and 50 seconds now. So there's this paragraph that I love so much. I have so many favorite paragraphs. This paragraph that changed my life. And it's on page 100. And it says, both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. Anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances. No matter what, you hear, don't drink no matter what, go to meetings no matter what. This is no matter what. No matter what my present circumstances, I would presently live in this world with God. God. This girl that you see in front of you couldn't stand the word God. I don't know how many times, I've even mentioned the word God in the past, 50 minutes or so. It's my whole entire life today. The fact that I get to show up and help another person. I get to show up and be a maximum service to God and to my fellows today. Nothing else matters. And I get to show that I care. I get to show love. I get to cry. I get to laugh. And I wouldn't change it for anything. This whole, you and the new man walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. I get to do this with so many people today. I don't just get to say, I got what I need, goodbye. I get to keep doing it. I get to keep seeing people come in on day one and say, welcome. We're glad you're here. And it was just yesterday, I think, where I realized that it started with this God blanket. Terry Bear wanted me to mention my God blanket. I know I already did, but this whole God blanket, right? It all started with one person. It started with one person that showed me I could trust them, that showed me love, that didn't judge me, that I was able to be honest with. Wrapped around me and this other person, God. Me, God, and this other human being, one person, where today this God blanket, I can't finish my sentence. This God blanket goes around every single human being I know. like I said, you can't make any of this up. And, it's incredible to think that this girl that was dying in the bathtub right next door to my room, not knowing why she was waking up wanting to die today, I get to wake up and say, "Good morning, God. Surprise me. Show me how to live today." So I'm incredibly grateful to be here. Thank you again, Terber, for asking me to share, for asking me to be of service. Thank you all so much for listening to me. I really hope that I was able to help another person in this room tonight. Once again, my name is Monica, and I'm a very grateful alcoholic. Thank you so much.